Imagine a company that wasn't just selling office space, it was selling a revolution, a community, a physical social network. At its peak, it was worth a staggering $47 billion. Then, almost overnight, it all came crashing down. This isn't just a story about a failed business. It's a modern-day fable of hype, charisma, and the dangerous allure of a story too good to be true. Welcome to the spectacular rise and catastrophic fall of WeWork. In 2019, WeWork was preparing for the most anticipated stock market debut of the year. The world was watching, but behind the sleek design, free beer on tap, and promises of changing the world lay a terrifying secret. When the company was forced to open its books to the public, what they revealed wasn't a tech unicorn, but a financial black hole, losing over $3,000 every single minute. The IPO imploded, $47 billion in valuation vanished into thin air, and the visionary founder was ousted in a blaze of scandal. So, how did a simple office rental company convince the world's smartest investors it was worth billions? And what fatal flaws led to its stunning collapse? Strap in, because this is a wild ride. Our story begins with Adam Neumann. Charismatic, tall, with a booming voice and an unwavering belief in his own destiny. After a few quirky startup attempts, including baby clothes with knee pads, he stumbled upon an idea with his co-founder, Miguel McKelvey. They noticed a gap in the market. Landlords had empty office floors, and a new generation of freelancers and startups wanted flexible, cool places to work without the long-term lease. Their first venture, Green Desk, was a hit. It was simple. Lease a floor, fill it with IKEA furniture, and rent out desks to small companies. But Adam's ambitions were never small. He didn't want to run a profitable business. He wanted to build an empire. He sold his share, and with Miguel launched WeWork in 2010. The mission? To create a world where people work to make a life, not just a living. It was a powerful, emotional pitch. The initial model worked. WeWork offices with their glass walls, communal areas, and free craft beer became hubs for millennials. But Adam knew a real estate company, which is what WeWork fundamentally was, would never get the sky-high valuations of a tech giant like Google or Facebook. Real estate is asset-heavy and hard to scale. Tech is lightweight and scales exponentially. So, Adam performed a magic trick. He started telling investors, and anyone who would listen, that WeWork was not a real estate company. It was a community company, a physical social network. He called it the Uber for offices. He argued that just like Airbnb needed apartments, WeWork needed buildings. But its true value was in its proprietary technology and global community. It was a brilliant, if flawed, rebranding, and investors bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. Venture capital firms, scared of missing out on the next big thing, poured money in. WeWork's valuation skyrocketed from millions to billions, all while the company was bleeding cash. To impress these investors, Adam would activate the space, code for throwing an impromptu, company-funded party the second a potential investor walked in, creating an illusion of constant, vibrant energy. Flush with investor cash, Adam's ambitions spiraled into chaos. The strategy was no longer sustainable growth, it was growth at all costs. He leased office buildings at a frantic pace, often wildly overpaying. He launched bizarre and expensive side ventures. We Live for communal apartments, a spiritual elementary school called We Grow, run by his wife, and even invested in a wave pool company for surfing. Internally, the culture became cult-like. There were mandatory summer camps with expensive musical acts, and employees were encouraged to work extreme hours for low pay with the promise that their stock options would make them millionaires one day. Meanwhile, Adam sold hundreds of millions of his own shares, bought a $63 million private jet, and leased buildings he personally owned back to WeWork, profiting from his own company. The line between Adam's personal empire and the company had completely blurred. The inevitable reckoning came when WeWork filed to go public in 2019. The S-1 document, meant to attract investors, instead exposed the terrifying reality. The world saw the massive losses, the bizarre self-dealing, and the complete lack of a path to profitability. The company had even invented a new financial metric called community-adjusted EBITDA, which basically meant our profits if we ignored all our major expenses. The media and financial analysts tore it to shreds. The IPO was pulled. WeWork was on the verge of bankruptcy, burning through its last reserves of cash. Adam Neumann was forced out as CEO, but not before negotiating a golden parachute worth nearly $1 billion to leave the company. The employees, who had been promised life-changing wealth, were left with worthless stock options. In 2023, after years of struggle and a global pandemic that made shared offices a liability, WeWork filed for bankruptcy. The $47 billion dream was officially dead. The fall of WeWork is a stark lesson for us all. It shows the power of a compelling narrative and how it can blind even seasoned experts to fundamental truths. A great story can launch a company, but it can't replace a solid business model. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of hype over substance, and a reminder that in business, as in life, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. If you found this deep dive into one of the biggest business collapses in history, we've got more stories just like it. Stories that reveal what really happens when vision collides with reality. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss our next exploration into the high-stakes world of business and innovation. And tell us in the comments, what do you think is the biggest business mistake of our time? And what can today's companies learn from it? Thanks for watching.